Hey team, happy first week of the month. Can you believe this? We are already in the month of March. 2 months down, 10 to go. That's how fast this year is going by. So first and foremost, before we start talking about kind of the focus for March and where we're gonna be dialing some stuff in, the one exercise that I have for you is to take inventory and assessment over the last 2 months. So last 2 months of the year, what I want you to do is write down what are the things that you learned over the last 2 months this year. What are the things that you're doing really well that you just need to sustain those? They're like brushing your teeth. You can just do it nonstop. What are the things that you're just struggling with that's saying, hey, you know what? You can get better at it if you just put a little bit more effort into. And the last thing that I want you to look at is really what's the area that you're trying to get better at, but even with more effort, even with trying it by yourself, you're just having a tough time with it. You just need to ask for help. And it's important that we start not just every month like this, but definitely as we've had a couple months behind us, we get a chance to see trends, we get a chance to see patterns, we get a chance to see behaviors. You know, that's really where we get a chance to assess more accurately. Because if we just look at 1 week at a time, it could be in a one-off situation. And so that's the first thing that I want you guys to do. And I'm coming in hot on this one right here where it's like, boom, start off. Let's start assessing this thing. But we don't have time to waste. I mean, we see how fast this year is going by. We see how fast every day goes by, every week goes by, every month goes by. The fact of the matter is life is just going to keep going by fast. And the faster that we can start assessing and adapting and having awareness and making some moves is that's when we get a chance to start really making some big changes in our life. So I want to go through a little bit of our focus for the month of March. But before that, I want to give some shout outs to so many of our athletes for definitely the month of February, our Back to Action Challenge, which we set a goal for 20 classes for the month of February. And it was amazing to see a few hundred athletes hit that mark. So kudos to all of you guys. I think the big focus for January and February is always just getting back on that physical consistency train. That's always the hardest part, coming off the holidays, getting back into a routine, just getting back into action. I always say I want people to start physically first, because if we can start doing things physically, if we can just start moving, that's going to start to create a different level of emotion and start changing some behavioral patterns. Overthinking it nonstop is just going to make us overthink. So that's why it's really important in the first 2 months of the year is just to start with that consistency of action. So huge shout out to all those athletes who took on that challenge, were very consistent, and I'm hoping that it sets us up for a strong March. And what I always look at this is we got a really good next 8-month stretch of us dialing it up, because we know that November and December, those are always going to be a little wonky months for us, for everybody. But now we've got a good stretch over these next 8 months to really dial this thing up in a big way. And so that's why we do it. I want to give a big shout out to the Dog Squad. Oh my God. Guys, I'm going to tell you right here, 3:30 in the morning once a week. Look, I get up at 3 o'clock every single day, and getting up at 1:45 once a week, that was even hard for me on that one. And so, but 5 weeks, because leap year as it was, we had an extra one on extra Thursday this month. But I couldn't have asked for a better group. And I think we had about 18 to 20 athletes who were there for all 5 dog squads, which is amazing. And I think the thing that we learn in situations like this, in these challenges, is just what we're capable of. You know, when people tell you something's crazy, when people tell you, oh, that's nuts, that's wild, it's probably something you should be doing because it's not the norm. And it doesn't mean you need to do it forever, but it gets a chance for you to make a breakthrough, a mental breakthrough. When you have those mental breakthroughs, then you can easily have those physical breakthroughs because you're like, I can do this. And when we have these challenges, that's what we want. That's the actual goal we're looking for, is the mental breakthrough of us getting to the next level of something that we thought was hard or impossible. Be like, you know what, this is my new standard now. This is the way I'm going to do things. And so, you know, and it doesn't mean that you're going to always wake up at 1:45 in the morning or work out at 3:30 in the morning, but maybe it makes 5 a.m. workouts a hell of a lot easier because you're like, dude, this is nothing compared to 3:30 in the morning. So, you know, sometimes you do something really challenging so that your new calibration is just a little bit past that versus where you're at before. And so anytime you're doing a challenge, know what you're actually trying to calibrate for the long term versus I got to do this extreme challenge and I have to stay here the rest of my life. It actually, I've never had that view on doing challenges. I want to do a challenge so that this is kind of where I'm at. I'm going to do this challenge here, and this is where I want my new standard to be. And so that's the way that I want us to approach these. And when you're doing any type of challenge this year with us, look at it the same way. And so now that we've got this kind of consistency set over the first 2 months of the year, from a physical standpoint, I want us to sustain that, right? So that kind of 20 workouts a month should be really our standard. That's what we're shooting for now. If we want to feel alive, if we want to feel like we're thriving, and we're creating so many resources and opportunities that it's more than just taking classes. From the online standpoint, constantly adding new workouts, 30-minute express workouts, adding 5 to Thrives, which are quick 5 moves, 5 sets, things that you can do anywhere. We're going to constantly keep adding resources to make movement simple. And so ideally, we want to be able to move our body every single day and train, whether it's 10 minutes or 60 minutes, it doesn't matter. We're intentionally moving our body. That's why we're doing this. That's why all of us train so hard. That's why all of us are signed up to be a part of a program like this, so that we can live a life where we're thriving. We're not just surviving day to day. We're truly thriving so that we can be the best for ourselves. We can be the best for our families. We can be the best for our kids. It's doing everything possible to give ourselves the best life possible. That's why we are doing this. And that's why we are going to challenge all of you and challenge ourselves in order to set that standard day in and day out, because we know that that's the only life that we really want, is the life that we feel our best every single day. And so with more things coming this year in terms of access to resources, access to new blood work and labs, things that we're going to be launching, hopefully here by end of March, some accessible things, bringing IV therapy frequently into FNS so we can enhance from that perspective on the recovery side of things. So there's so many things I'm so fired up to constantly bring into the mix that's going to support the longevity journey in creating that generational health. But I want to make sure that we're focusing on 1 month at a time. I don't want us to try to fix everything at once. For myself, for us as a team, for us athletes, because that's not how we create sustainable change. We don't create sustainable change by doing things extreme forever. You know, it's these little snippets, and it's only doing one thing at a time. And you don't want to make 10 things extreme. If you're gonna do something that's extreme, just make sure that it's kind of only 1 or 2 things, and then know when you're gonna step off that train. And so when we look at March, what I love about March is weather's gonna be getting better, hopefully, cross our fingers. A lot of people are out of that holiday hangover. The bugs are going away. I know a lot of people have been getting sick. And so this is a good time to recalibrate and really fire up our immune system by taking care of one of the things that matters most, our nutrition. So it's gonna be mind on our meals in the month of March. That is our focus. Mind your meals this month of March. So really that's gonna be our mantra. And so when we look at total transformation, not just the physical transformation, but I'm talking about total transformation. It really comes down to what I've always said is the 3 M's, but I'm gonna add a 4th one into the mix. It's mindset, right? It's understanding what your goals are, why those goals are important to you, getting enough sleep, managing your stress, being very in tune with your strengths, your weaknesses, all that stuff, just having such a high level of awareness really on that mindset standpoint of things. The second thing is meals, right? It's a type of fuel that we're putting into our body. It's, I can go to the next level of, are we doing any type of testing to know what we're allergic to, what our body responds to? It's having that level of emotional awareness. So that way we know, hey, these are the foods that make me feel good. These are the foods that make me feel good only when I have bad days. It's making sure that we're managing our emotions. So much of a meal standpoint is related to our emotional state, because a lot of times people are eating mainly in that emotional state, having a bad day, they're going for the junk food or whatever the case is, the alcohol, and it's being mindful of that aspect. But it's our food dictates our mood, and that's where a lot of disease can happen by not taking in the right foods. It's where our energy can go to crap. It's where it doesn't matter. You can be working out all day, double days, but if you're eating like crap, your body's never going to see the transformations that it needs. And so that's going to be a big focus for us. And the third piece is movement. That's the consistency side of stuff, which is basically just being intentional, being safe, being smart about how you're training. And so I'm loving what we're doing right now. I'm getting a lot of input from the team in terms of programming, mixing it up, adding some different elements, more strength blocks into it. So there's a lot of cool things that we're doing and we're going to continue to do. And then the last piece I would say when it comes to transformational health is what isn't in my 3Ms, but I'm really, I think it's one of the most important aspects is relationships. It's who are you surrounding yourself with? You could be dialed in on those three things, but one person comes into your sphere of influence and maybe they have a bad attitude. They're gossipy, they chatter, they're negative, they're just a drain, they're an energy vampire. And so they can take away all of those gains that you're making by just being in the wrong circle. And so much, and I've talked about this before in other huddles, so much of that success or failures is going to come from your circle of influence. And so those four elements are huge, and that's why we're always going to kind of calibrate to me like, hey, where do we really need to dial in a lot more? And so this month, it's really about the meals. It's really about dialing in, and we're going to provide a lot of resources this month of March in terms of simple things, from simple snacks, different things that you can do from a meal standpoint, looking at your macros, all that type of stuff. But what I want to talk about in today's huddle is how you're going to break it down into really kind of 4 areas when it comes to nutrition, because everybody's body is different. So for me to just say, hey, here's the meal plan for every single person, that'd be very irresponsible, because everybody has everybody's body is completely different. So they're going to break down foods differently. It's just going to be completely different for each person. But what needs to be the same for each person is kind of this kind of way that we look at it. And so the first and most important thing is to set a goal from a nutrition standpoint. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. One can be setting a goal from weight and body fat standpoint. So you're seeing the measure of, hey, you know, this is what I want to go after this month. This is what I want to lose this month over the next, or 2 months, whatever the case is. So that could be the focus there. Now, if you're like saying, hey, I don't want that to be the focus, I really want to measure the other aspects. I want to be drinking more water, so I'm going to be able to track that. I want to be able to eat more vegetables, fruits, lean meats, or I want to cut alcohol, sugar, desserts for this month, or I want to limit it to a certain amount. So you can set a goal however you want. But most important thing is set a goal, something that we can track, something that you can track. So it's going to keep you honest, keep you on track, because we can't manage what we don't measure. If we're just saying, oh, I want to be better at this, what does that mean? Better than have a salad, lose weight, go to the bathroom. You'll have lost weight. We want to be very specific in what our goals are. The second thing is either track or have some form of accountability. So what I encourage all of you guys to do this month that you want to really focus on from a nutrition standpoint is definitely track what you're doing and what you want to be better at. So if you want to have less alcohol, track what that means. Is that one day less, 2 days less? If you want to start having more vegetables, how are you going to add that in? Have an accountability partner, someone that you can check in with every single day. Hey, I did it. I'm on it. Great job. Hey, I was off it today. Hey, come on, we got this. Have that person. So that's going to be something that I highly, highly advise and suggest for everybody. Have that accountability partner this month when it comes from a nutrition standpoint. You don't need to have 50. One person that you feel is going to hold you accountable. Is going to be like, hey, not just tell you what you want to hear. It's going to tell you what you need to hear. You both genuinely want to get better, and you both are going to make an agreement to not let each other off the hook. Okay? Obviously, you'll be kind and empathetic and compassionate to each other, but you'll hold each other to a very high standard so that you want each other to win. The third thing is really kind of a combination, is where I look at nutrition, and I've talked about this many times. The most simple meal plan is the DES meal plan, which stands for the Don't Eat Shit meal plan. And it comes down to just asking ourselves a simple question. Whatever we're about to eat, we ask ourselves, is this going to help me or hurt me achieve my goals? So that now goes into the mindset standpoint of being aware before we're eating. Okay, now we're aware of this food, as opposed to just mindless eating, right? Oh, I'm in a bad mood. Let me just get another one. Pausing, reflecting before we're consuming and saying, is this going to help me or hurt me and reach these goals? Now, there may be a situation where you're in a celebration or you're in a birthday party or some special event. Look, that one meal is not going to hurt you. I'll tell you that right now. That one-off whatever situation is not going to hurt you. Enjoy it. Spend that time with your family, your friends, whatever the case is. Doing anything once like that isn't, obviously, I should say, It's not guaranteed. Don't go extreme, right? But most of the time, doing something once is not going to hurt you. Now, it's the little things. It's death by 1,000 cuts. Those are the things that are going to hurt us, right? It's going in, snacking, having the M&M jar, walking past the lobby, wherever it's at. Oh, I have another one. It's like, yeah, well, we had 400 of these M&Ms today. We just didn't think of it because it was a handful at a time. So those are the little things, right? But we got to then ask ourselves, is this helping me or hurting me achieve my goal? And the second part of in that category is a salad a day. So that's one of the most simple things to start with, is have a salad a day. So every single day, have a salad. And in that salad, have legumes, protein, your vegetables, fruits. Load that salad up. One salad a day. So if you're having a hard time, I don't know what to do, like start with that. And be very mindful, right, of the little things you're doing, but start with that salad a day. That's going to be definitely a big thing for me in March. Is I say, hey, I'm going to for sure have a salad a day. I'm going to pick, it's either going to be at dinner this time, it's going to be for lunch this time, and I'm going to kind of just, rotate between those 2 days. That's going to be my approach for the month of March, is having a salad a day, a loaded salad a day. And most of the times when you have certain healthy foods, how it becomes an atomic effect for you, where it's like, man, like, when you eat something healthy, you just feel so much better. Obviously your body feels so much better, but your energy, your mindset, you just feel like you're on offense. Like, yeah, like I'm in a better mood. I'm eating healthy right now. I just had a smoothie or a salad. Like, you want to do other healthy and productive things. That's not the case when we eat like shit, right? It's not like when we have a bunch of pizzas and beers, we're like, yeah, I feel like freaking working out right now. We don't feel like that afterwards. The bad part is we feel like that the next day, but we feel like that because out of guilt we did the day before. And that is the vicious cycle where we don't have a healthy relationship with food. That is one of the worst relationships that we can have with food, is punishing ourselves based off of whatever we had before. And that's the most unhealthy way that we want to look at nutrition. And so we never want to say, oh man, I did this, I got to pay for it tomorrow. No, hell no. Like that's a cycle we never want to have with nutrition. Nutrition is meant to fuel us. It's meant to give us energy. It's not meant to be something that we use to physically punish ourselves the next day. And so, if we've ever done that, we really have to stop that cycle, because it's not healthy, it's not productive, and it only goes down a very dark road by not having a healthy relationship with the foods that we're consuming. And so the last thing that I would say is, obviously we don't want to go extreme. So what I mean by that is just pick 1 to 2 things this month. And it may be the salad a day may be the thing for you. Maybe the other thing for you may be just asking yourself, is this going to help me or hurt you before every meal that you have, right? And that's the thing that's really important, where it's like, hey, this is going to help me, or it's either going to make me closer to my goals or farther away from my goals. You know what? Do I really need it right now? Is it really that important? Is it really or am I doing it just because I'm bored and, this isn't something I actually need? And so when we do something that's so extreme, like we go on an extreme meal plan, this is my beef with a lot of people who do, or a lot of programs, I would say, that do these extreme meal plans, is that it perpetuates that mentality. It's, all in or all out. And it doesn't have to be like that. We want to pick 1 or 2 things that, like, say, hey, we're going to be really hyper focused on this. And then once we're so hyper focused on them that it's like, hey, the next month it just becomes part of our standard. We don't have to be hyper focused on it anymore, because now it's just the way that we operate. What's now 1 or 2 things that we can be hyper focused on that? And so I think that's when we look at the long term, is what we want to do is we don't want to do it's rush, because what happens is that people go so extreme and then they stop. And then they're like, oh, I don't want to do that again. They think the only way to get results is through that vicious cycle. So those are really kind of the 4 areas that we look at from nutrition standpoint. Again, we're going to provide a lot of resources, a lot of tips, a lot of things that you can do. But it all comes down to this. It all comes down to the mindset. It all comes down to being aware. It all comes down to having a goal and understanding why that goal is important to you, like why you're even doing this for the first place. It has to have some accountability. Otherwise, you won't do it. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast, right? Like, there's very few people that are just so driven by themselves that they don't need a coach, they don't need an accountability partner. And even then, it's so much heavy lifting. Why? You don't need to do that. You got so many people who want to support you. Go through that DES, right? Is this going to help me or hurt me? Your salad a day, and then making sure you're not going extreme. So let's dial this thing in this month. I think the consistency of exercising and moving piece is really down for us as it is for a lot of people. Most people have that down. But now let's focus on the next big challenge this month is our mind on our meals. And one last thing that I want to say is that don't worry about, your confidence isn't going to come from whatever your current abilities that you're doing right now. Your confidence is going to come from your conviction and your intention. And that's really a huge thing. Where you want to gain confidence in something, that's directly related to your conviction and your intention to wanting to be better at it. And if you can have such strong conviction into why you're doing what you're doing with the intention that you're going to get it done, that you're going to try your hardest, that you're going to be coachable, that you're going to be asked for help, your confidence will naturally raise. Because those are the two most important things. But if your confidence is just based off of, what I can do or what I can't do right now, what I'm good at, what I'm not good right now, then it will always constantly be wavering. And it is very, very hard to get momentum from that standpoint. So if we want to create some big momentum this month, be very rooted in what you want, why you want it. That's conviction. And what are the things that you're willing to do to get there? That's your intention. Let's go make some big moves this month. I'm excited for you. I'm fired up. I feel like we're on a winning streak right now, 2 months in a row of making some moves, and we're gonna dial it up. So if you have any questions from us, if you need anything from us from support, definitely on the nutrition side, but anything else, we're here to support you. Let's go be great, live your best possible life, and I can't wait to continue to support you all. Let's go.